Family and fellow soldiers, I'm the Professor, and this is the moment of truth. The brutal murder of Amir Locke should disgust us, but it doesn't surprise anyone. And nor does the fact that the thugs in the Minneapolis Police Department are circling the wagons those who aren't laying low. The message is clear and unmistakable. We're not going to be prosecuting anyone, and we're going to see if you guys have the steel in your spines that you had 2 years ago, whether or not the spirit of 2020 is still alive today. Brother Khalid Muhammad talked about that. The white supremacists had taken into account that you were going to march and protest. They had taken those things into account. What they didn't take into account was that people were going to start pulling up. They didn't take that into account. That people were going to stop the useless habit of trying to tell the police that they should arrest one of their own thugs when the truth of the matter is the murderers in the Minneapolis Police Department, they didn't commit a mistake when they killed Amir Locke. That was the goal. That was the reason that they were there. To them, being able to kill black people, that's one of the perks of the job. Now, nothing being done about it, of course. This is no different than it was in 2020 when the thug white supremacist piece of trash, Derek Chauvin, murdered George Floyd. Now, you had a black police chief at the time, and you remember that your black police chief in Minneapolis, he was the one who decided that he wasn't going to do anything about it. When the initial lie, calling itself a report, was filed, he was the one who signed off on it. All good here. I don't know what you guys are upset about. And the bootlick Arredondo, he tried to hold the line until the video came to light. But after that, you didn't see any outrage from him, not really. It was like, ooh, this looks bad, for me. And he's not the only black bootlick that you got in law enforcement. Unfortunately, we got a lot of those Negroes who decide to put on a badge. And as far as they're concerned, that means that they think they've escaped blackness somehow. Tamir Rice, you had the sheriff of Cuyahoga County or whatever. This scumbag, he decides that he's going to sign off on a report that's a complete pack of lies, all of it total and thorough lies, but making it clear, yeah, we're going to kill black children. You'll get some Negro who's going to get out there and proclaim that it was all on the up and up and there ain't nothing to be done about it, and that's the end of it. The murder of a child. And of course, in Dallas, you had that scumbag police chief who these days, apparently now, he's squishing his butt somewhere in Chicago. White supremacy has no problem using these black police chiefs as crash dummies because that's all they're good for. That's what you do with a tool. You use a tool. And then when it's no longer of use, you throw it away. You don't get sentimental about it. You don't even try to repair it. It's disposable. And when another job comes up, you just go and get another tool. I don't give a rip about any black police officers in Chicago who claim that they stand with BLM. This ain't about whether or not you do a photo op. This is about the fact that you got a bunch of white supremacists running roughshod over black folks. You got a lot of black police officers who called themselves doing the same kind of mess. Now, you saw what happened down in Homer, Louisiana. You had a couple of black cops defending themselves from some thug with a doggone pickup truck trying to run them down. They defend themselves, and what happened? Police chief immediately had them arrested, had them charged, didn't take any protest, didn't take any national outcry, didn't take any media exposure. Nobody was even making a stink about it. Well, you might have had a couple of yahoos online, but nobody significant, nobody who matters. And yet you had the police making it very clear, ooh, these two, they definitely got to go down. We got to go ahead and get their doggone prison cells laid out today. Oh, no way you guys remain free, man. We got to put y'all away. Justine Demond, coming out of the dark alley, it's a doggone shame what happened to her, but the truth of the matter is that is the very definition of somebody who thinks that they only have a split second to react. Mohammed Noor only thought they had a split second to react. It's the very definition of what they falsely claim with all these killings of black folks. That's what actually happened to Justine Demond. There's your split second to make a decision. And what do they say? Oh, no, we're going to put a case on you. We haven't put any white police officers in prison for killing black folks, but if public pressure is going to make us start doing it, well, at the very least, we're going to make sure the first one's going to be a black one. And so it was. So if you happen to be a black police officer, you're going to be held to the exact same standard as people from the dominant society. When you come around us calling yourselves, talking about racism in the police department, first thing I want to know is, give me names. You should be telling the public everything that we need to do, feeding information to us. Because these white supremacists, that in these police departments and sheriff's departments and in these state troopers associations, that's what they do with these white supremacists. They like to use their position in order to feed information to these scumbags that you see online, to these right-wing hate organizations calling themselves news channels and publications and such. That's what they do. What, you want somebody to respect you because you say, oh, there's racism in my job? There's racism everywhere, stupid. You're not surprising anyone. You're not getting any admiration for that. No one's going to pin a doggone medal on you. Oh, what a dangerous workplace that you got. Oh, all the racism. No, you want an excuse for being a coward is what you're saying. You got police departments where you got a doggone black police chief, and yet you see a bunch of these black coward officers. They'll call themselves attacking black people. That's why I posted for you on Twitter. You had that scumbag. What the hell was his name? Melvin Williams. This guy caught on video attacking some unarmed black person. Yeah, they know who they can attack and who they don't. A brain-dead bootlick who is a willing tool of white supremacy. I got no doggone sympathy for somebody like that. I'll never forget how there was video, I want to say it was on Fox or CNN, in Chicago during the uprisings a few years back. You had video of this one young man in particular. You probably know who I'm talking about. There was this one young man who made it a point that he was going to have staring contests with the police. And what happened was you had this white cop. He was doing everything that he could to look away from this young man. This kid was looking him in the face. The white cop looking left and right, pretend like he didn't see him. But then you had this black cop, some fool with glasses on, and he had on his little police cap, and he called himself actually getting in this kid's face. Like, oh, you staring at me, huh? Yeah, you always got some dumb Negro who decides that he's going to be putting on the cape for massa. Am I supposed to respect that? No, I don't think the black police officers are misunderstood at all. I think they're understood very well. Their problem is that they're not fooling anyone. After the murder of Trayvon Martin, you had that black police chief or commander, whatever the hell he was supposed to be down there. He's basically telling everybody, calm down, I'm a black man, I got a black son, and I want you to know that I'm concerned. Blah, blah, blah. No, nobody wants to hear that mess. Because whenever you have some white person who accuses a black person of harming them, you don't have the DA or the police chief say, I'm a white person, I've got a white child, and you all need to calm down. No, everybody already understands. 80% of convicting a black person is merely charging them with a crime. That's the reason why you don't have people who are in the streets or demonstrating or otherwise. They already know once you put charges on a black person, hell, that's 80% of putting them in prison right there. Everybody knows it. There's no need to march or demonstrate for it. It's just a matter of as soon as the charges are filed, okay, that's good enough. As soon as an accusation is made, that's 90% of getting charges put on a black person, and they know it. They only bring out all of that phony, fake solidarity talk with us. And it's a good thing that we reject this mess, but we need to make sure that we reject it forcefully. I was reading an article the other day saying that Amir Locke's family is telling the media that he was getting ready to move to Dallas so he could be closer to his mother. Well, as we saw with Botham Jean, they don't even need a no-knock warrant or a warrant at all to just barge up in your spot and murder you. So this idea the white media trying to put forward the spin that, oh, if only he had made it to Dallas, yeah, he would have been the next victim right after Botham Jean. Ilhan Omar has crawled out of whatever hole she's been hiding in. And she's pushing some empty talk about the same old do-nothing rhetoric. We need to have some federal restrictions regarding no-knock warrants. What we need happen to be mass prosecutions of these police. That's what's required here. And these judges. The solution is not no retraining. They don't need to be trained because a white supremacist cannot be trained to be anything other than evil. You don't need police reform because a white supremacist cannot be reformed. What's called for here is harsh punishment. We'll continue with the moment of truth in just a moment, but first, a word from the official sponsor of Black Empowerment, Power Tools. There's no telling when something's going to come up, so make sure you carry your power tools at all times. You never know when you're going to need to bring the hammer down, or when you'll have some trash that needs to be blown away, or some obstacle that requires cutting down. Don't get caught empty-handed. Keep your hammer close by. Keep that leaf blower at the ready. And always carry your steel. Power tools. Because no matter what your day job or side hustle may be, there's no excuse for not being ready to put in some work. And we know that it works because the police themselves have made it very clear when they get punished, then all of a sudden they get some act right. But what's going on here is an attempt to try to push back against the progress that's been made, however modest, over the last couple of years. These are the bad guys who are making it very clear, okay, in 2020, we think it was the lockdowns and a bunch of pent-up public anger that led to the uprisings of 2020. We don't think that it was the culmination of years of these white supremacists getting away with murder. We think it was the lockdowns that did it. That's the right-wing narrative being circulated. And a lot of folks on the white left saying the same thing. Well, it was the lockdowns. People were just very tense at that time. That's the calculation that they're making. They're making the calculation that, the 2020 uprisings were simply the end result of people with massive cabin fever and the stress of being locked down and just spilled over into the streets. That's what that was about. It really wouldn't have been that bad under any other circumstances. That's the calculus that they're doing right now. This is what's going through their minds right now as they decide to wait and see. What's the result going to be? Are the streets going to get hot again? Is pulling up going to be the new normal? Oh yeah, they put the name of the individual believed to be the murderer of Amir Locke out there. At last report, the murderer is at an undisclosed location, and the white media is not giving any interest whatsoever to this scumbag service record. The fact that this guy had already been under investigation for giving illicit drugs to protesters. Not to mention, he had been in a prior police department. What a surprise. These scumbags never remained in one police department for very long. In the prior police department he had been in Hutchinson, this guy had something like 3 citizens' complaints against him. But of course, nothing was ever done about those. And the white media is not asking any questions. One of the main things that the white media wanted to make sure of was that they were not going to be made to actually examine the background of any of these thugs who were running around killing black people. Oh, no. We're not going to have it where whenever some white supremacist kills a black person, well, we're going to be looking at this person's background. How many crimes have they committed? Any dirt under Officer Hanneman's fingernails, anything in his background? Oh, no. We're going to be talking about Amir Locke. Well, Amir Locke has no criminal background at all, no criminal record. Does anyone he know has a criminal record? Yeah, they start playing that game like they did with Freddie Gray. If we can't find any dirt on the victim, we'll see if there's anyone that they know. Whatever helps to feed the narrative of, well, they had it coming, or at least they should have known better than to hang around certain people. But they've also seen what happened in the case of Breonna Taylor. Did the public need to blow off some steam? Maybe seeing all of those murders of black people in rapid succession like that, people just got angry and just had to blow off some steam, and now they're going to go back to simmering again. They just had to get that out of their system. Is that going to be it? Keith Ellison, as far as he's concerned, he's established his bona fides with the black public. Why, I put away Derek Chauvin. Please, that was a freaking slam dunk. Stevie Wonder could have gotten the doggone conviction on that one. Do not give that idiot Keith Ellison any credit merely for doing his job. That's what you pay him for. I told you that all the way back, and we're all Detroiters now. You don't let these scumbags think to themselves that you will be eternally grateful to them simply because they did the freaking job that they were paid to do. If you're their boss, you better act like it and make it very clear. You've been told what's required of you. If you don't do it, you're the one who is going to be feeling the heat. But it doesn't matter if it's these black bootlicks who are running around with badges on the streets who decide that they're going to join in with the white supremacists and attacking black people, or if it's going to be these other bootlicks who say, I'm a prosecutor or a lawmaker, and that's why you guys need to sit back and sit down, and we'll look into this. We're going to advocate on your behalf. I ain't waiting for Ilhan Omar or for Keith Ellison or any other bootlicking chump to call themselves putting a stop to this. We already know that they're not going to. As far as Keith Ellison's concerned, he's already made his bones with white supremacy's upper echelons, the administrative arm. Don't expect to see much from him. He still has delusions of being a cabinet secretary one day, or heavens to Betsy, even president. He still has delusions of that. He hasn't given up on that. He ain't changed. He hasn't improved. Last thing he wants is to have any of these good white liberals that he's looking to win the favor of saying, Keith, you're bringing a prosecution in a doggone in an election year. Now in 2020, when the streets were hot, as far as they were concerned, that was the only way they were going to get them streets to cool off. So far as they were concerned, go ahead and throw Derek Chauvin under the bus, anything to get the heat off of us. Yeah, because the heat was on them. And they realized that they were not going to be throwing any bootlicks out there. Your black police chief and your black state attorney general weren't going to be making anybody say we're going to be standing down. Folks said, oh, hell no, enough of that standing down, we're standing up. But now they're trying to test that electric fence again. Personal safety is not something that can be outsourced to anyone, not unless you got money for a personal bodyguard. And especially if you're talking about group security, when you have individuals who have made it very clear that as far as they're concerned, they're only going to enforce the law if you force them to do so. Well, if that's the way they prefer it, then who are we to question them? Because the most basic tenet of any civilized society is that when someone or a group decides that they are going to act ungovernable, then they force others to govern them. Good day, and be one. I'd like to take a moment to mention some of our contributors: Wesley Monroe, Quasi, Michael Johnson, Jacques Harjet, and Ye Eason. Salute to them, and thank you to everyone for listening, liking, and sharing this message. Black empowerment only exists because of you.